Hi folks, this is Phil Adams with a VoteProPot editorial. Today, I found an article from townhall.com, a very conservative-leaning site, about the recent spate of vape-related lung disease cases that we've been hearing about. The article's by an editorial writer named Lindsay Stroud, and it's entitled, CDC to Spend Millions Combating E-Cigs After States Link Hospitalizations to THC. The article reads, in part, quote, more and more young Americans are being hospitalized for side effects from so-called vaping, or so the federal government wants you to think. The article continues, quote, despite Wisconsin's Department of Health Services and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention linking most of these hospitalizations to THC products, the news media is, nevertheless, erroneously linking them to regulated e-cigarettes and vaping devices. The first reports of such hospitalizations link them to black market THC products. But public health agencies in California conveniently buried that story, and in late August, the CDC coincidentally announced a new grant for tobacco control programs. The article concludes, quote, basically, public health is now suggesting that e-cigarette products that have been on the market since 2016 are suddenly causing hospitalizations, even though those same hospitalizations were first linked to THC vaping products, end quote. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this article is grossly misleading. In an effort, apparently, to set the record straight, Stroud has really only distorted the record even more, and I think deliberately. She asserts that the real problem, which the CDC is ignoring apparently, is not the vaping, but the THC. Now, to me, her agenda here seems all too clear. To use these cases to demonstrate the supposed threat to public health posed by marijuana use and to advocate for its continued prohibition. It's as if to say, see, all you idiot potheads, we told you marijuana was bad for you. Well, now, this myth is very easily busted, and since it's easy, I'm here to do just that. Lord knows if it required any real effort, I probably would have said to hell with it, but luckily, all it takes is a little grade school arithmetic along with a grain of common sense. Here are the pertinent facts. According to the CDC, between June 28th and August 20th of this year, 193 potential cases of severe lung illness associated with e-cigarette products had been reported in 22 states, with additional cases pending verification. In one state, the aforementioned Wisconsin, hospitals found that around 89% of these cases involved vaping of THC products. Other states have reported similar percentages. Now, according to Forbes magazine, sales of cannabis concentrates in the U.S. in 2018 were estimated at about $3 billion, of which about 58%, or about $1.74 billion worth, were vape cartridges. Recent trends strongly suggest that 2019 sales will only be higher, but let's suppose, just for the sake of illustration, that sales of cannabis vape cartridges remain flat year over year. That means some $3.5 billion worth of these products, cannabis vape cartridges, will have been sold over 2 years. Now, if we assume an average cost per cartridge of about $70 each, which is probably a bit high, that means that just under 42 million units have been purchased by consumers of both medical and recreational cannabis over the last 20 months. The ones involved with these hospitalizations comprise fewer than 200 over 3 months. Our regular listeners will know that it has been well established and documented that humans have been using cannabis and cannabis derivatives literally since before the dawn of human history. And in all those millennia, the number of confirmed deaths resulting from marijuana has reached a staggering 0. Not a single one. Obviously, the same cannot be said of tobacco, or alcohol, or opiates, or even sugar for that matter. In fact, it's entirely possible that before this very day is out, tragically, each one of those legal substances will have claimed the life of at least one person in the U.S. So what does that mean? It means that either human beings have, over the last 3 to 5 months, bucked a 10,000-year trend and somehow developed a deadly intolerance for cannabinoids, an idea that anyone familiar with the physiology of human endocannabinoid system will tell you is patently ridiculous. Or, the real culprit in these cases is not the THC at all, but some other substance introduced into a particular batch of cartridges that somehow escaped the detection of state regulators whose job it is to ensure the safety and purity of these products where production of cannabis derivatives is legal. In other words, more than likely, what we're dealing with here, and what Stroud conveniently ignores, is not just THC products, but specifically black market THC products, those produced and distributed by criminals who obviously care nothing for public safety. This is roughly analogous to people being poisoned because they drank illegally distilled moonshine. That happened a lot more during alcohol prohibition than it does now, I'm sure. What this demonstrates, in other words, is not the dangers of THC, as Stroud would have us believe, but rather the dangers of prohibition. As an old mentor of mine once said, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. If what Lindsay Stroud and town hall readers want is more people being poisoned by impure black market cannabis products, then by all means, let's keep marijuana illegal, and let's keep overtaxing legal cannabis so that black market providers can remain competitive. If not, let's finally dispense with this old, discredited Nixon-era sophistry and the intrusive, unfair cannabis laws they engender. Conservative town hall readers in particular should understand the myriad problems caused by government overreach. This is just one recent and deadly example. I'm Phil Adams. Thanks for listening.